All right, hello. Um, well, I don't know why I'm on the dartboard here. Anyway, I'll show you. I'll show you something. Um, Madonna. I gotta do a video for today. It's the 8th of October. Don't you know? There's a date coming up for Madonna, or there's a big couple of big days coming up now, potentially for the Hoover Dam as well. Which is 10/10 and 10/11. Okay, so the 10th of October and the 11th of October. Okay, and that ties in with the dollar bill because obviously in the dollar bill there is this big 10/11 day, which I believe references to November the 11th in the actual dollar bill. But having said that, when we jump back to films like Back to the Future, I believe Back to the Future with its timeline references to um, 9/11, October the 10th and 11th, and then through to November the 10th, through to 11/11 as well. Because we're dealing with midnight hour stuff, okay? But anyway, that's what's happening with the timeline jump in Back to the Future. 30 years into the past, 30 years into the future, and when we go into the past with 9/11, okay, that's 30 years ago or 30 days ago from what's just coming up now with 10/11, okay, and then we'll go 30 years into the future, which is the Hoover Dam scene, the hoverboard scene, and that 30 years into the future is the 10th of November. So you have this reversal of 10/11 and 11/12, 11/10. Oh dear. Anyway, I wanted to do a video basically. I get sidetracked already with the Back to the Future stuff because I'm going to show you something in that hoverboard scene in a minute, hopefully. I guess we should just start with, the idea of today's date, right? Which numerologically speaking is 1/8. Okay, because 1/8 shows up with her stuff quite a bit. Obviously, in the dartboard here, there's her stuff here, 816. Okay, and then opposite that is pi. So pi is important with Madonna, and then obviously adjacent to her birthday is Sean Penn's going across with the 187. Okay, her first husband. And then right next to that is 911 coming straight across here. So you see the dartboard is absolutely bloody loaded. And then we've got down here here's Donald Trump's ear thing, straight down on the dartboard. 713, just reading it backwards. Okay, so there's kind of a lot of interesting numbers going on here in the dartboard. I'm just going to say there's one other interesting thing as we look across now. Okay, with Madonna's stuff here. Okay, what we can see is that when we come across, we've got the 4 here. Okay, the 413. Just note that 84 is next to, is tied into these numbers here. Okay, that are strong with Madonna. In fact, all these 3 here and the 18, the 4 and the 13 are all strong with Madonna because of this 187 coming across here, because of 9/11, I suppose, as well, a little bit being tied into the whole gist of things. But yeah, just because of Sean Penn's sort of tie-in here with Madonna's here, right? So let's just note 108 up here, kind of opposite her numbers, tying in with this 4 here, and 84 days. Let's just have a quick look at the calendar before we go too much further so we can see what numbers we're dealing with. Okay, the 8th, okay, 84 days left in the year. Now, what's interesting about this is I'm going to do some number jumps in a minute to do with, just midpoints again, because we just had Madonna's brother die on the 4th. on the clock tower, you know, number, okay? 1004, right? So that was pretty significant. In fact, I believe I've probably mentioned it several times to do with Madonna before and a potential date for her to croak on. I don't know, probably dozens of times in other videos. Obviously, I have this connection with 88, but we got to keep all these numbers in the back of our mind here. And don't forget, obviously, October the 4th, that kind of infers another 8-4 here with October 8 and then 4. So we have the 1004, but you can convert that to an 8. So we've got 84 reference here because the 84 is really important with Madame X, and X marks the spot this year with the eclipse, okay, with that 8-4 eclipse completing the cross across the United States, okay. Also, we are 9 months used up in the year and 4 days, okay, so we've done 9 months and 4 days to get to 10-4. So that's important with the 94 reference as well. So this is important because the brother's name, of course, Christopher, yeah? So that reference to Christ. What I want to do is show you some of his numbers and how they tie in with Madonna, and another brother that died, was it last year? I think it was last year, 2023 maybe. Anthony, okay. Okay, anyway, so getting back to this, let's get back to the 8th real quick, because there's also another date, the 10th, that I've mentioned, which is, now I'll just talk about the 10th real quick. The 10th is Billy Idol's, what would I call it? It's his end date for his palindromic number. I was looking at 2 palindromic numbers with Madonna and Billy Idol. Madonna's palindromic number from her birthday was 24,142 days. Okay, and then Billy Idol's from his birthday was 25,152 days. So you had 2 palindromic numbers that ended up from Madonna's birthday and from Billy Idol's birthday only being 20 days apart, getting to an end point 20 days apart. Hers came to the 20th of September, and his comes to 10/10 this year, right now, okay? And the significance of those 2 sets of palindromic numbers, obviously, there's numerology that connects with Christmas Eve with the 124 or 1224, and then Christmas with 1225, the 125 that's in there. So you have this connection with Christmas Eve and Christmas. And again, Christmas Eve and Christmas, Mary and Christ. Okay? And the whole thing about Christmas time is it's actually the balance point between the moon and the sun. If you figure out where those 2 things need to end up to balance each other within a year, okay, it needs to end up round about Christmas time. Okay? So that's fascinating stuff as well for the calendar to work properly. With regards to Christmas, yeah, and having Mary and Christ, those 2 things together at that point. So what the hell else do I want to say here? So anyway, so 10/10 was that end date, So, and obviously 10 being Roman numerals for X, XX, the double cross, Madame X again, and I'm going to show you a little thing in Back to the Future that references the double cross again, the XX, with Marty being reborn. So we'll just go through it all. But this date here, the 8th, today, so, there's, just showed you that bit in the dartboard, and we've also got a nice little palindrome going on here with the 282, a nice reflective thing going on, and again, when you jump to the 10th, we've got a kind of switch going over here as well with 84. So 28284 and then 28482. So these numbers are kind of connected as well. And obviously 1010. Again, if you look at October being the 8th month, and then you look at the 10th, again, we've got similar, the numerology is very similar for these two dates, you know. So again, it's strong for, it's strong for the Hoover Dam. It's because of this 10-11 thing coming up, you know, the midnight hour between these two dates. Being in the dollar bill, it's the really big fold in the dollar bill that makes the 10-11. There's a connection with pi with that date as well. There is, so that is in Back to the, this date is in Back to the Future. It's in the dollar bill, and so obviously 910. Say 910. This is also actually, when we're talking about this, there's also connections to the White Wedding as well, because the White Wedding is a reset point. Billy Idol's White Wedding and Madonna's last, I guess it was probably her last White Wedding to Guy Ritchie, was actually reverse numbers here again. Instead of October the 9th here, if we go back to September, it'll be the 10th of September, which is his birthday. So tying in with the White Wedding to Guy Ritchie with his birthday there. Okay, and as I was just saying, in the dartboard, she's got the Sean Penn birthday with the 187. So I mean, you know, again, it's just round in circles with this stuff. But let me show you some number jumps here. So what's interesting is, first thing that's interesting is between Billy Idol's actual birthday, 11/30/1955, the Great Scott again, remember that, through to Madonna's birthday, 990 days, which is really interesting with the 99. You know, the 99 red balloons and all that. You can make a ton of connections with 99, okay? And she's 66 right now. So, you know, kind of interesting. If we go from her birthday, 2024, through to this date, it's 53 days. Now, why is that interesting? Okay, so it's 53 days through to her birthday. Now, let's click on to Billy Idol's birthday. Okay, it's 106 days. So you can see 53 is half of 106. And of course, 53 is in the dollar bill. It's the angle on the eye at the top of the, it's the eye of the Eye of Providence at the top of the pyramid there. And that is the angle that is in that thing. Okay, 53. I figured it out sometimes, 53 point something, but it's 53 degrees basically. Also note that the total time span here, if we look at the variations here, we've got pi in here, 3 months and 14 days. Again, remember, opposite her birthday in the dartboard, 314. Okay, so you know, it's just interesting, right? Just interesting. What other number jumps I've got in here? Because I wanted to show you the one going around the other way. So if we go from Billy Idol's birthday last year through to Madonna's birthday this year, 260 days. Now what we want to know is what the midpoint is between that. So I can figure that out as 130 days. So let's go back 130, and lo and behold, it has taken us to Madame X again. It's taken us to X marks the spot again, the eclipse date. Okay, so that's really fascinating. Note that it's again, oh bloody hell, look here, 4 months and 9 days. Okay, 4 months and 9 days. Again, the 49 is really significant. Let me show you something here. if we come to the middle of this table, this is the Queen's Cross table. This is just Fibonacci, Lucas numbers, and what I call the pi row, pi numbers, all in a table, so we can see them all set out in order, sort of thing. The middle of that table is, okay, it's right here. Okay, that is the middle of the table, 44. Or here's our eclipse. Here's our 4-9. Now, what do I want to say about this 4-9? Her brother that just died, Christopher. Okay, 49 days from her birthday was his death date on 10:04. Okay, and then go another 49 days. It takes you up to his birthday, which is the 22nd of November. So this 9-4 thing is right in the middle of that set of numbers and that whole situation there. As is the 4-8 in the middle of her and Billy Idol's birthdays there. Okay, so you see these points coming up as midpoints. Now what do I want to say? There's a lot of little synchronicities. Obviously, the 22nd of November, when Christopher's birthday was, is the same day JFK dies. And then, of course, you can start running through all the synchronicities with Marilyn Monroe, with Madonna, and then the connection back to JFK. And so you can go around in circles right there with all those connections. Let me show you something interesting if we move down to the bottom of this table now. Also note that, yes, in here, in the center of this thing, also note this is a pi row here. This is numbers of the pi cycle, right? Note the pi cycle numbers right here. Note the synchronicity underneath with 729, which is the white wedding. Okay. Note that in a couple videos back I was talking about another cycle, another way of grouping these cycles together and finding a midpoint, and that midpoint was, well, actually, the midpoint, the balancing point of all that stuff was actually, can't remember which one it was. I think it's just this 9-2 here. Okay, and basically what you had is two sets of numbers, and I was looking at all these numbers right here, 922, 729, which is again the white wedding of Diana and Charlie Boy, and obviously Billy Idol does the song White Wedding, and all the synchronicity is, it's close right here. Okay, now without getting too bogged down, we have this reference to pi, right? We have the reference to pi in the center of this running line here now, and we also have Madonna's reference to pi in the dartboard. So if we drop down, I'll show you some interesting stuff. What have I got down here? I've got, basically, this is the bottom of the table below to this black line, and then below it I've got actual numbers of pi. Ignore this green line for right now. But this is Fibonacci again, which has been adjusted to match up with this set of numbers here, which is actual numbers of pi. And then I've got these are first 24 digits of pi up here, and then the first 24 digits of phi, phi, the golden ratio number. Okay, so we've got two transcendental numbers here that are, I've just taken the first 24 numbers of those, the first 24 digits of those numbers, okay, because obviously they go on forever. But within the Fibonacci cycle and Lucas numbers and everything else, there's a repeating pattern of 24 digits. So we're just sticking with 24. Obviously 24 again with X. Interesting. But anyway, the first thing to note, right, is what is at the middle of phi is 49. Okay, so this is interesting with these tiebacks, right? again, the interesting number here in pi is 89, the actual Queen's birthday, death date. Okay, so it becomes kind of interesting. This adjusted row of Fibonacci. Note that the 84's in the middle of this thing. Obviously today 84 days left in the year, so the synchronicities are interesting. And then notice right at the bottom here, her numbers, her birthday numbers, and if we pull right through, could it be this simple? We've got her birthday number right here, 816, and then 18, 108 maybe? Who knows? But why is this set up like this? And I'll tell you, there's two reasons why. Basically, the reason why these are, set up this way, this bottom set of numbers, sorry, I'm not being very clear here, that bottom set of numbers is also phi, is also the golden ratio. So these two bottom sets of golden ratio numbers, this is just the sequence started in a different place, and the reason why it started in a different place is because this 88 down here is matching up with this 88 up here, and then when we look down here, we've got two sets of numbers matching up in these two lines, and so forth and so on. This is the start of this set of numbers, and this is the start of this set of numbers. So we've got these numbers are kind of laid out where certain other numbers match up, if that makes any sense. And if you just kind of looked at it, screenshot it and looked at it, you can see where those numbers match up. Okay, but that is really interesting, that those numbers are all tied together there. Maybe 108 is tied in. Let me show you something with her. Now, you remember the Guy Ritchie video that she did? Then there's a death and resurrection idea within that video, or at least the end of a cycle reference in that video. So there was a number in that video that was referenced, which was this number right here. Okay, it was on the old people's home. An interesting sequence of numbers. If we look at what's at the start of that set of numbers, 88, and if we look at the end of that set of numbers, okay, 41. Okay, so we've got the 1004 here at the end, numerology, which is the 88th day of the year when Christopher, her brother, dies. Okay, so what? If we look at this pi row that's underneath, what's synchronizing with it? We do have the 84 synchronizing with the 88, which is interesting. And then when we drop down to phi, we have 82, yeah, synchronizing as well. So again, that could be the 1010, or it could be 108, synchronizing with those numbers there. We didn't really look at the end of that there, but and then of course you got the 88 synchronizing again down here, which is this set of numbers that sticks her birthday in the middle. Another interesting thing is with his birthday, with this 88, note that his actual, so this would be his death date, the 88, Christopher. Now let's look what's next to that, 39, the day of the year that he was born on, 39 days left in the year. So that is fascinating as well, just the closeness of these numbers. Okay, and again when we look above, 84 is sitting right above above that as well. And notice the 33 of Christ, that is sitting right here. And if he's Christopher Christ, and I think he was, I want to say, well, maybe he was 63. I don't know if he was 66 or 63. She's 66 right now. It's the kind of stuff that you should probably figure out. But anyway, again, here's her birthday, and look at the number sequence here. Put a 0 in there. 1008. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? It could be tying together. Anyway, 53 days from her birthday. There was something I wanted to show you as well. Let's go to the other chart. Oh, bloody hell. I'll tell you what, if you're new here, there's just no way you can keep up with this, because this is just all over the place and there's no explanation really. Okay, run one of my original charts, the double cross of Lorraine. Again, it's just Fibonacci, Lucas, and pi numbers, and I've got a bottom row here that's not really got a proper name, but it's just a repeat of, I'm going to say it's a repeat. It doesn't matter what it's called. Anyway, it's set up a certain way for certain reasons. You'll notice the Back to the Future numbers down here, really important. In fact, Madonna will be on 1010, on Billy Idol's sort of palindromic completion number, 1010. She will be 66 years and 55 days old. So that's pretty interesting as well. Notice that 410 is a completion number. These grey numbers down here are just totals up to the 10 column here. So notice that this 410 again is an interesting number with completion. And notice it's in the pi row that connects to Madonna. Okay, so her brother's dying on this day. Then if we look down here, let me draw a little box around it. There's Madonna's numbers right there. 8, 16, you have to read it backwards, 16, 8. Okay, but there's the numbers. Her other brother, Anthony, no, he didn't die on that day. He was born on 5/3, 53, which is fascinating because, again, today is 53 days from Madonna's birthday. Okay, so this is kind of interesting, and he dies on this day. I'm pretty sure he died on the 25th of February. And then check this out. We've got this 39 in here again, and remember, 39. Again, 39 days left in the year. Should be, if I'm getting this right, should be the 22nd of November. Okay, Christopher's birthday. Okay, and then we've got the 33. Now remember, in the golden ratio numbers that we had, okay, that 33 was sitting right in between her birthday and his. Okay, and again, the death and resurrection, 33. So it's kind of around in circles, and it's kind of like, well, what day points to what number, and all of this stuff. Also remember the whole ear thing with Donald Trump on 7/13, which is like it's in both corners here, and it points to, again, which is, if you made the pyramid up this way, it points to that capstone number, the 53. So it's very important. If we also look at the, and again, you can make the arrow now coming through here, turn this into an arrow with the 331 or 331 that's right here, which is was Easter this year. And of course, we just had, on the 2nd, we just had that other eclipse over Easter Island. The god of Easter Island, Makey, interesting with the name Mac, yeah, because Mary Makey. I think it's just spelled make, but Makey, MC, okay, Mary Christ, Makemake is also a small planet, a dwarf planet like Pluto, that's sitting off, right out in the outermost regions. And that planet happened to align on that day. This is off another channel. I can't remember the guy's name. Was aligned, so not only when the eclipse went over Easter Island was it at sort of midday-ish, okay. Not only was it at midday, not only is it a hard little spot to sort of go over. It's called Easter Island because it was found at Easter time, I think, or on Easter or something like that. But this guy's got a video about it. I might link it if somebody's interested, if you ask in the comments. But right at that point, there was an alignment with Makemake, the planet. Now, the chances of that are just astronomical. The chances of that are just crazy, So that god planet, if you like, aligning at that point with the sun and Easter Island. The Earth, that island, which is the land, which is the physical, aligning with the sun again, another version of the physical, aligning with the maker, Makemake. Interesting, isn't it? Definitely a sign, and obviously Easter itself is to do with the eclipse. It was funny because I was watching the video and thinking to myself, this guy has forgotten to, bless him, he had forgotten to really mention the fact that Easter itself, the idea of Easter, is the death and resurrection, which is the eclipse itself. The sun and the moon, Mary, eclipsing the sun, and then rebirthing the sun. Okay? So there's a point at which the two are balanced, at the two kisses, the two crosses, and then there's a point where they're not balanced, where the sun has been eclipsed, unfortunately gone into the Hoover Dam, into the dam, and is now, being controlled by the black pearl, and then is resurrected again. Okay, so it's the story of, civilization as well. So anyway, interesting with this coming across forming the arrowhead down to this point here. So this 53 is pretty important. I'm going to miss the date here now, because we're going to be into the 9th here in a minute. So what else to say about it, really? Boy, oh boy, I don't know, actually. I'm trying to think. There was some other stuff that I wanted to mention. I've mentioned all the brothers. She's also got a whole slew of siblings, and in that bunch there is a Martin. So we have the Marty, and there is a Jennifer, I'm sure, in there as well. So we have this reference back to the Future. Let me show you something in Back to the Future. Let's do this. Oh, what's this one? No, music. This one right here. So this is the hoverboard scene, the hoverboard scene. Okay, this is the reference to the Hoover Dam being destroyed. Okay, they start this scene off in the Cafe 80s, of course, and of course that's where Madonna starts her. Let's just click through it like this, see if I can get to a good point. Now at this point, I think this is the only place in the film where, well, this is Griff, but the Griff character here, calls Marty chicken. Okay, I don't know if he says it, but well, anyway, he says it. He says, "What are you, chicken?" I think he says it twice. Does a little thing. Now, remember, Madonna's surname. It looks like, I don't know how you'd really say it, Ciccone, but really what it is, it's Ciccone. Ciccone. Okay, so it sounds a bit like chicken, Ciccone, right? So that's the, again, this is an interesting maybe referenced there. Note what is going on in the background at this point where he's just been called chicken. Okay?
Calls me chicken.
Nobody calls me chicken. Notice the XX, the Madam X in the background. Note as well the white wedding of Diana and Charlie Boy is all over the place in the cafe. Okay? So there's this reference to the white wedding. Which is important with the connection back with Billy Idol, and of course today being the midpoint between their two birthdays. Anyway, he's going to try to clout him, and what I wanted to do, see if it will get to that point. Well, it didn't really show, but you saw the XX in the background there. Then we go through the whole scene on the hoverboard, and they chase him. There's a reference to a goat there, and of course the goat is the thing that climbs up the wall of the dam. This little point here, you know, with the boulders, because of course the Hoover Dam used to be called Boulder Dam, and he even goes around a little semicircular like dam face right there and falls off the hoverboard or Hooverboard. And then we're water skiing, you know, this idea of being on water. Note he also hit kneed or kicked Griff in the genital area, which has the nuclear, symbol on there. Kind of interesting with the idea of all this talk about nukes being set off or nuclear sites being destroyed. And he's actually called, I think he calls him Jobo or something here when he gets stuck on the water or something like that. So Joe Blow or maybe something like that, which is kind of interesting because I think I'm still not off the idea that Joe Biden is going to croak here shortly, and we'll have a little episode of Kamala Harris in, maybe on the 18th. Maybe on the 18th. Maybe I'll talk about that in a minute. There's this little blow here. He gets stuck out on the water. Now, what I want you to do is look in the background here. Let's see if I can click on one more. So he's stuck in Lake Mead right now. Oh dear, and we're getting the pit bull out, which is like a missile. Says lock. He says hook on, but it sounds like lock on. And okay, I've gone by it. And of course, Marty takes a dunk. Baptism by water now, and those idiots crash into the clock tower, which again is a representation of the Hoover Dam. Yeah, the 4 inlet towers, and at the Hoover Dam, the glass front here, all important sort of references. The boulders again, still with the reference to the Boulder Dam. Let's go back a little bit, see if I can find this one spot. I just wanted to show you the XX. Dear oh dear. I think I need to come on a bit. Hang on. Play a little couple of seconds here. Yeah. This would have been better if I had actually figured out exactly where this was. I'm pretty sure it's back here a little bit. This is very painful just to find one little spot. Probably would be. Well, anyway, you can almost see it here. It's coming up. What I'm trying to show you is that lady that was just there in the background. Yeah. Oh dear, Dan. See, this is what makes it painful. I won't be able to edit this out either. let's just go right. Ah, look at that. Just when I thought I wasn't ever going to find it. This character. I'll make it bigger even, so we can see. With the white and the blue, the Virgin Mary colours, the aquamarine at the bottom here as well. Almost like a, I don't know what you call it. I don't know. Anyway, it's, to me, it's a definite reference to the Virgin Mary. Okay, it's got the right colours. We've got the Vesica Pisces. We've got the idea of the kind of, I don't know, this head covering. A bit like, because the Virgin Mary has that head covering as well. Well, she has a more of a gowny thing going on, but and then we have the XX in the background, the XX, and then you've got a sun trike here, tricycle. Interesting with the the three cross, the three suns coming across and being eclipsed, so to speak. Okay, so yeah, this is interesting. It'd be interesting to know what it says on the side of this bike. But there's your double X, the double cross right here, stood right at the center of that thing. Okay, gonna leave it there, I think. Pretty much. There's so many interesting dates coming up right now. I don't know. I think I've covered most of those. Yeah. Let me just show you one more thing. Remember as well, right? So all that rubbish there, but also remember that here's that number right there. So it's a super significant number, especially running down with her other numbers here, tying into that. Okay, um, just super significant, really. I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Let me show you one more thing. I think. Um, I'm just thinking. No, let's not bother with that. Let's do this though. Let's go back to the one more thing. Let's just go back to this, and I just want to talk about one more thing that's coming up. That's an interesting reference. So, Kamala Harris's birthday on the 20th, the same as Herbert Hoover's death day, obviously Hoover, and then obviously Snoop Dogg that's been prominent in a whole bunch of stuff. And there's so many ties to Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Dr. Emmett, Dre Brown, yeah, Dr. Emmett Brown, Dr. Dre. Oh dear, oh dear. You can go around in circles with the stuff. The 18th of October, 292. So this is a really important number again, because again of the 29 reset sort of number and balance number. So this is an interesting date coming up, the 18th. I mean, if something didn't happen around here, I think something significant will happen on these dates. Now, obviously, we've got this storm, the Milton storm, coming up. And again, maybe it's played, maybe the ritual's going to be played out with the Milton storm, and Paradise Lost, okay, and Paradise is Florida, well, and a kind of paradise, you got the beaches and the palm trees and all that. So you've got this version of paradise that's going to be lost. They're going to destroy that place with this next storm, I'm sure. I tell you, the weather has been very funny here. We have had it's been hot and dry. Not really a cloud in sight. Very unusual weather. Again, to the people out there that know what's going on, it's obviously weather manipulation. It obviously is, and so just say a prayer for those people in Florida. Anyway, what else? Oh, the Milton thing. Remember the Milton thing. Remember on the $10 bill, Hamilton, Hamilton, the Milton thing, 1010. On the $10 bill, the 1010 again is another damn fold, and that damn fold, yeah, could be referencing this 1010 here. Okay, so again, XX, 1010, Madame X. I mean, you know, what date do you want to pick? That's the question. Okay, so there was one other interesting thing actually, which I think I might have it up here. I won't go to it before I forget. But this 18th, this is the day. Before I forget about the 18th, this is the day when Gerald Ford was in the Herbert Hoover Library. I don't know if you watch Gematria Effect News, Zach talks about it all the time. Well, not all the time, but he's mentioned it several times. Gerald Ford is in the Herbert Hoover Library or whatever it is, or I don't know, anyway. And a young girl asks who's going to be the next. When are we going to have a woman president? Something to those words. And he says, well, it's probably going to be some old. It's going to be a vice president that takes control after an old president dies, and that is on the 18th of October that occurs. Now that happens to be Jean-Claude Van Damme's birthday as well, and obviously Jean-Claude Van Damme, does that need any more explanation? But Universal Soldier, there's a ton of stuff in Universal Soldier. Obviously they start the thing at the Hoover Dam, so with a terrorist event there, so it's all interesting stuff. But yeah, the 18th, this gives us our 118, which is right at the center of this table here. Okay, we can sort of steal just one of those ones there, and we can look at the 118. So this again is another number that's, a hot number. And if we were to put the 4 column in here, or 4 row, if we went from 4 and then look down on this 9 row, the number that is missing right here is 118. Okay, so it's a 4-9 reference. So 118, again, for old people that watch the channel all the time, I'm just repeating the same old stuff. But again, it's an important date, and it references back to 4-9. Okay, so this super duper interesting. And 74. Ah dear. The 47th president? Could be interesting, couldn't it? Predicted on that day by Gerald Ford. Maybe it ends up being a different day, but somehow the numbers tied together. But I still think it's going to happen. I do. I mean, just have a feeling about it. I guess I don't know. It probably won't happen. The same as Madonna probably won't croak. But I'll be definitely looking for. Well, it's gone by now. It'll be yesterday now. And into the 9th, because again that ties back in with hubby number 2, and then obviously 1010, 1011. There's gonna be, I don't know. Gosh, I just don't know. What else to mention? Mention Hamilton. There was something else I was going to mention. Now I've forgotten what it was. Wasn't in there. It was I think it was some number jumps here. It was there. Okay, I think we'll call this the last thing to mention. If we do 810, okay, 810, the 8th of the 10th month, the 8th of October, check out the composite number. So it's the 669th composite number, which, if you recall the Guy Ritchie video where I showed you the 87 whatever it was number on the Old People's Home, the other number that's in that video right at the end before Madonna dies is 669 on the door, and the 9 flips down to 666. So this is kind of interesting here. Okay, and then if we were to put, I wish we put it the other. Let's put the 8. Hang on a minute. Put that in. Oh, that's what I just did. Do it the right way around. My dyslexia coming out there. Wait. Oh, come on. Are we not doing it? Did I just press the wrong button or something? Oh no, there it goes. Coming out. 79th composite, which again, is that interesting? Well, when you go back to the table and you see that, here's Madonna's, just flip that number around. Okay, we've got to amalgamate this 1 down here. We've got Madonna's numbers, we've got, again, with that amalgamation, we kind of amalgamate those 1s, and we've got Madonna's, we've got Sean Penn, and we've got Sean Penn tying in this way as well to the center of that. And then we've got this 79 here tying in, and then we've got Easter tying in here. Okay, and again, what's the final bit on that cross? We just tie into the 53 somehow. 53 days after her birthday. 53 days is her birthday. 53 days from her birthday. I don't know. See, I could almost do it. I could probably pick out half a dozen dates, and I could almost pick out. Well, I say half a dozen. I can pick out. I've already picked out over half a dozen dates for her to kind of, have the ritual death thing on. You can. It's just one of those things that, I guess. I don't know. If you break numbers down far enough, you'll see that they all sort of tie together quite conveniently. Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you what though, that the 18th is an interesting. It is an interesting number to be sure, especially with the 292, was it? And then that number in there, yeah, with that date on the calendar. Definitely, let's just go back to it so we can just refresh. Yeah, 292, 74 instead of 47. So this is a really hot date. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe it's just a hot date and those numbers tied together, and it's just like that. Maybe nothing needs to happen. Maybe Gerald Ford already did the enough on with his little speech on the next president. But again, super duper interesting. I'm leaving it there because it's just whiffle waffle now. I'm sure I've forgotten some stuff. Yeah, what did I forget? Oh, 52-28. Does she have? I can't remember. I think it's a 28, not a 52. 58, 28 in at the end of the Ghost Town video. That's interesting as well. 8-4 is that midpoint. I don't know. I'm leaving it there. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on another one soon. Alright, cheers, bye.